Hello everyone. This tutorial is about the phases of cell cycle. As you know guys, our cells are continuously dividing or following cell division. Our cells divide in order for us to grow and repair the lost or damaged cells. So cell division is the result of the cell cycle. The cell cycle is a highly ordered sequence of events that takes place in a cell, resulting in a division of the cell at the end and the formation of two genetically identical daughter cells, which are a soft copy from the mother cell. So what are the phases of the cell cycle? The cell cycle is divided into two general or main phases called the interphase and the mitotic phase. The mitotic phase is the cell division phase. However, the cell spends majority of its time, around 21 hours, inside the interphase. So can you imagine? The cell divides only in less than 3 hours and spends majority of its time inside the interphase. But why is that? Why would the cell spend majority of its time inside the interphase? It is because the interphase is a very active phase of the cell cycle where the cell is carrying out all of its major functions, such as producing enzymes or hormones and preparing itself for the cell division. So the cell spends majority of its time inside the interphase in order to prepare for dividing. Now this interphase is divided into three sub-phases or into three other phases. The G1 phase, the S phase, and the G2 phase. We are now going to study what happens inside every phase of the interphase. In the G1 phase, which is also called the first growth phase, proteins from which organelles are synthesized are produced and all the organelles replicate. So, in the G1 phase, the overall size of the cell increases because all the organelles replicate. Now, the S phase, which is called the synthesis phase, the DNA is replicated inside the nucleus. So, the DNA will create a copy of itself, and each chromosome will be made up of two sister chromatids. Finally, the G2 phase, which is called the second growth phase, the cell will continue to grow in size and store energy, and the duplicated DNA will be checked for errors. After the interphase is completed, the cell will then enter the mitotic phase, which is the period of cell division. In the mitotic phase, the cell division or the mitotic phase involves two stages. The first one is the mitosis, where the nucleus divides, and the second one is the cytokinesis, where the cytoplasm divides into two cells. It is important to mention that sometimes the cell might leave the cell cycle and enter the G0 phase. It might enter the G0 phase temporarily or permanently due to many reasons, including differentiation. A cell that becomes specialized to carry out a particular function will no longer be able to divide. As a result, it will enter the G0 phase. Moreover, Sometimes the DNA of the cell might be damaged. In this case, it will no longer be able to divide. So it enters the G0 phase to be arrested inside this phase.